Hey guys, Onyx ATX here with Calla walking off to discuss this. This is a part one of probably a three-part video about AR pistols. It has been safety checked, just so you guys know. There you go. And in this video, we're going to kind of talk about the stuff that you should consider if you're going to purchase or build an AR pistol. This is not legal advice. Do not say, oh, I saw this on YouTube and this weird guy said it was okay. This is some topics that you should research on your own and that I've researched, and the statements I'm going to say were, my decisions based off my research. And if you guys find conflicting things or anything different, please absolutely let me know. Post in the comments, PM me any scanned documents from the ATF regarding this, post them in. This is something that you really need to educate yourself on before diving into. So, this is not a rifle, this is a pistol. And with that, you follow pistol laws and not rifle laws. So keep that in mind regarding your own state legislation. Definitely research that. A relevant example is here in Texas, we can open carry long guns. You cannot open carry a handgun. Now, you cannot carry this openly no matter what. This is a pistol. This is not a rifle. You're going to run into problems if you open carry this. Theoretically, could you get your CHL and conceal this? Well, yes, theoretically. But what do you think is going to happen if you're found with your CHL concealing this? Do you really think that's going to go over well? Probably not. Can you win it? Most likely. Do you want to spend that much money and time in court to fight that? Absolutely not. Do you know what's going to happen if that's in the media? You know what they're going to say? They're not going to say competitive shooter, gun enthusiast, hunter, historic buff, responsible member of society was carrying around a large pistol completely legally. It's not going to say that. It's going to say that person was found illegally concealing a new type of short, dangerous assault rifle. That's what it's going to say. And it's not a rifle, so it's wrong. It's not an assault rifle. It's semi-automatic. That's wrong. You were legally concealing it. But we all know that this magazine has less capacity than, a 33-round 9mm Glock magazine. They're not going to say, oh, it's semi-automatic handgun that's kind of awkward and difficult to use as it is, and has much shorter range, not as much velocity from the rounds. Like, this is not nearly as effective as an AR rifle. They're not going to go that route. So, when carrying this or transporting it, keep that in mind. The law enforcement is not buffs on ATF law and rulings. They're not looking at that as much as we are. So do keep that in mind. And again, study that on your own time. But what makes this a pistol and not a rifle? Well, that's very, very important to never have this as a rifle. If this is a rifle, it would be an SBR. That means $200, local law enforcement sign-off, Form 1, and wait. If you want to make an SBR, make an SBR. Go through the legal means to do so. If you want to make a rifle, make a rifle. If you want a pistol, make a pistol. Do not have something that can jump around under different classifications. You cannot do that. Don't do that. Do not put a vertical foregrip on here. That changes it to where it's designed to be fired with two hands. That breaks the definition of a pistol. No vertical foregrip. Do not transport it with one. Do not have one sitting around. Do not have anything that could be construed as intent to put it on. And that's a big thing. Watch your constructive intent. While you might have a vertical foregrip setting on the table, I don't, but say I did, that could be considered constructive intent. And while I don't have any intent to do it, I would have to fight that in court. A lot of these rulings, I was thinking of how to compare this, and what I think I'm going to do is, the one that seemed correct is, say you smoke cigarettes and packs of cigarettes are getting too expensive, so you decide to roll your own. That's completely legal. You can buy your loose tobacco, you can buy your rolling papers, and you can make your cigarettes. That's fine. There's no issue with that. Now, if you pull out in front of a cop a bag of loose tobacco and rolling papers and roll your cigarette and smoke it, you might get some dirty looks. If you're smoking hand-rolled cigarettes, you might have, an officer walk by to see what you're doing because it looks, like you might be smoking something else. You're not breaking the law, but you might get some unwanted attention. It's the same with this. Now, say I had loose tobacco in a bag, rolling papers, and a bag of pot in my backpack. Well, you're getting popped for drug possession, but those rolling papers are going to get a paraphernalia charge. Because you have something else, you now can be hit with intent or a paraphernalia charge for the rolling papers. Now, if you have rolling papers, marijuana, and no loose tobacco, you're getting popped with paraphernalia charge for the rolling papers. That's how it is. It's a similar thing with this. If you do not have the pieces to make it a rifle, you're still, it's like carrying around rolling papers in your pocket. Yeah, it's fine, but keep in mind that you might get some hassle over it, and there's always a potential that they're going to try to do that, and you will have to prove otherwise. If you have, no anything that can break that law, you're okay. I'm not going to say it's fail-safe, but you should be okay because you're following the law. If you have a stock in a backpack and this in a backpack, well, guess what? That's the same thing as your, loose tobacco, rolling papers, and marijuana. You're going to get hit with it. That's, constructive intent. So no vertical foregrip. Also, it cannot readily accept a stock. The ATF has stated that a pistol buffer tube or carbine buffer tube is fine. That is not a stock. That does not affect a pistol. However, it does allow it to readily accept a stock. So if I'm out 300 miles from any possible way to obtain a stock for this buffer tube, and I don't have it, destroyed, so in theory it could accept one if there is one around, well, it can't readily accept one because there is none. So that's why the carbine buffer tubes themselves the ATF has stated are not illegal to use, because there's situations where you can use them and not have them readily acceptable of a stock. So that is why this is wrapped. The holes are epoxied. This is all glued up. There's glue around here with the cane end cap put on. Essentially, if I want to remove this stuff and set this buffer tube up to where it theoretically could accept a stock, it would be a whole lot of work. And there's a very, very, very good chance the buffer tube would be destroyed in the process. I know, guys, that kind of sucks, buying a buffer tube and then intentionally destroying it so it can't accept the stock, but that's what you got to do. That being said, this is not a fail-safe. This is not a, well, I got an end cap, so I can just put my stock in my backpack or in the car with me and be good to go. No, you cannot do that. Do not have a stock that could go on here if you do not have a specific purpose for that stock, and that purpose being owning an AR rifle where the stock is on. You do not have, you know, that lower sitting in the same backpack as this, because you could get hit with intent to create a SBR. Like, those two things have to be separate. That goes back again. If you want a rifle, have a rifle. If you want a pistol, have a pistol. Keep them separate. Don't say, well, should be fine because this is my spare parts bag and I always take it to the range. You know, I agree. You should be able to do that. We shouldn't have to jump through these hoops. But as it is now, we do. That's how things are, and as responsible citizens, we need to follow that. And we need to not go around making illegal weapons because we think that they should be okay. You know, all that's going to do is give this a bad name. It's going to give responsible gun owners a bad name, and it's going to get you hit with a felony. So keep it as a pistol. Do not play with this as you would a rifle. They are separate entities. No vertical foregrip. Make sure you cannot readily put a stock on here. Even that, make sure you can't put a damn stock on here. Get it to that point, readily or not. Make it so someone says, no matter what this guy's doing, there was no way that he could put a stock on it. But still, you're going to have to be responsible because, you know, a local law enforcement might not know these rules. So on my phone, I have ATF documents stating such, cases bookmarked, screenshots of stuff. I have videos of building this documented with the time and date to make sure that, you know, if I do run into problems, then I can have the upper hand and say, you know, I understand that this is a pretty rare firearm. However, I have researched the laws and, you know, so-and-so said on this date, verbatim this, here's a scanned copy of the ATF letter for that. You know, it was registered on the 4473 when you purchased the lower as other pistol. You cannot buy a virgin strip lower on the 4473 as a rifle and make it into a pistol. Then you have been approved for a rifle and you are using what you told the ATF was a rifle because the strip lower is the serialized part they consider the gun to make a pistol. That's felony. So be careful with that because all it takes is one person thinking, oh, he's just going to build a rifle with this. Make it very clear this is a pistol. You cannot use a lower that was on a rifled barrel to make a pistol. So you can buy a strip lower and you should be okay with that. Some places are kind of weird about it, but the ruling states that it cannot be for a rifle. So now you get into the logistics of building that. I would not have a separate rifle upper sitting around when I built this because then you could run into issues. Well, theoretically you could. Again, what somebody says you can do and what somebody says you should do are completely separate things. So make sure on the 4473 this is other or pistol. Build it as a pistol. Do not put, you know, a stock on the buffer tube while it's just a lower and run around your house pointing at things because then you have crossed a line that you cannot come back from. Do not, you know, have this as a pistol tube or pistol lower and put your, you know, your rifle upper on there and run around with it playing. You know, while there's gray areas on that where you could say, well, technically I might have been doing this and then that, so it is still a pistol. You do not want to get into that route. Don't take chances. So get your strip lower, 4473 upper, make it clear to where you're purchasing that you want this to be a pistol. I also would not recommend buying a strip lower without doing the 4473, meaning a person-to-person sale, because you don't have any documentation that was your intent, was to make this a pistol. The 4473 and other, you can have documentation on what you were doing. You can have, NICS know what it was for, essentially. Now, the first thing I would do is get the buffer tube on the lower and make sure that it cannot readily accept a stock. Now, what you're doing here is at this point, you shouldn't even have the upper. If you have an upper complete and no pistol lower to put it on, well, guess what? You could be hit with constructive intent for an SBR. So do not have an upper assembled. Do not have a barrel that's shorter, than rifle restrictions without having a completed lower. Yeah, it's kind of paranoia, but again, we go on and on about how we're responsible gun owners and this and that. Do the responsible thing. Whether it should be the case or not, do it to prove a point and cover your ass and show that you're being responsible about something like this. It's not very common and can be construed in weird ways. So get your lower built and completed. Now you've got a pistol lower that is considered the firearm. It is a pistol. It is a completed lower. The buffer tube cannot accept a stock. You've got everything functioning. Then purchase your upper. Now you can buy a pistol upper and say, I have a pistol that this goes on. I do not have an upper receiver or barrel for it, all that stuff, and it is going on this specific built lower. Again, you're still kind of getting in a gray area, but you need to cover all those things to make it damn sure, somebody does not think you are building an SBR. Again, if you want an SBR, that's a different route. Get your Form 1, get your local law enforcement, pay your $200 of wait and wait. If you want a pistol, make a pistol and jump through the hoops to ensure that you've got something legal. And in fact, I was questioning even putting this up because I don't want to give people ideas that they can do this sort of thing and make illegal SBRs. But if you want to do that and you get arrested for it and you commit felonies and go to jail, that's not my problem. That's a character flaw, and you're not responsible to begin with. So that was kind of my, it's not a guide. If you know how to do it, you know how to do it. I'm not telling you, how to construct it. And if you're intelligent enough to know how to construct an AR, then putting a shorter barrel on there is something you already know how to do anyway. And if you want to make that dumb decision, then that's your own fault. But I'm going to tell you don't do it. But I thought that, taking this out to the range, I've had a lot of people very interested in it. And even, a lot of very intelligent people about firearms are kind of like, so is that is that legal? Did I have to do this? Do I have to do that? They don't know or understand this. So this video is kind of, if you are interested in this, the things where to start. Again, not legal advice, not saying what you should and shouldn't do, but I'm giving you my research on it and kind of a couple areas where you really need to look at that. And I do apologize for the length, but I wanted to cover everything with this. Hi. So there's kind of, things to consider when building a pistol. But first, above all else, it needs to be constructed as a pistol. It needs to never have had a vertical foregrip, never been a rifle, and cannot accept stocks. That's your things to really look at when making the pistol. So again, AR-15.com has quite a few sign letters from the ATF discussing things like this. And if you guys have any, please post them in the comments. PM me. I'd be happy to put them up. If you have any questions, research on your findings, it's different than this, please let me know. This was quite a bit of work to make sure that I was covering my ass with it. I have video documented of when I was building it, the times the parts came in, me opening the parts, all that stuff, just to ensure that, if I do run into any problems, I have it documented that I did go completely legal with this. So this is again, if you want to go this route, they're a lot of fun, but definitely understand what you're getting into when you go to build this, because you very easily can get yourself in trouble. The other quick thing, a lot of people say, oh, this is a stock, this cane end cap that the ATF ruled is okay. And the main thing for that is storage. If you have it propped up, it's not going to slide and bang on anything. If you guys think that this adds any comfort to shoot, you're crazy. Because when this hits you, now you not only have a flat surface, but you have an edge. So you've got all of the recoil on a very small area that's not overly soft. This is not comfortable to shoot. If it hits your shoulder, I don't know if you can see, but I have minor bruising on my shoulder from this hitting. And if you butt this up against your shoulder and put your nose on it, your nose is in front of the charging handle. If that thing recoils and you're not ready for it, guess what? This is smacking into there, and that's not going to be fun. So for me, how I would recommend firing this is basically make sure that you've got pressure putting forward. Make sure you're holding on to the thing, cheek weld, and then give it room if it does recoil to not smash into your face or your shoulder or anything like that. With the paracord wrap that's glued on there, you should be good. Again, the holes are epoxied. This is glued on, which basically melts the inside of the rubber to it. This is all glued, so to take this off, I basically have to destroy the buffer tube. It's also wrapped and glued to the tip, so I can't really take the castle nut off without destroying a good chunk of this. So I cannot easily switch out the buffer tube. It kind of sucks that you have to destroy parts, but I'd rather destroy some parts and render it unable to accept the stock than walk that gray line with stuff. So again, if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, I know this video went on forever, but hopefully it was some decent food for thought. Please do let me know. Take care.